Hello, Dana. Working on your engine that you sent us, and let's tell you what we found so far. The cylinders in the block have been honed but incorrectly, because you can see the lines going straight across. See these lines? You want crosshatch. You want the lines at a 45 to each other, or almost to a 45. But these lines are just like somebody drilled down there, and that's not what's going to help the rings seat. And also the top of the block here is I cleaned it off in a couple spots. Just kind of, it's pitted in some places, so I think the top of the block needs to be milled. You can see right here this ridge, this edge. That's where the fire ring goes. That's where your head gasket's got the seat around here. We need some solid material to seat on. And you see it's eaten up right here, so it needs top of the block needs to be milled, in my opinion. But the cross hatching is the problem, and because you were asking about if we could reuse the pistons. Well, it depends on what size the bore ends up being once the proper cross hatching is in there. And we won't know until the machinist gives it a test hone and measures it and compares it with what the pistons are. This is what the honing is supposed to look like. Can you see these lines? Turn the light off, see if you can see them better. See those lines in here? That other discoloration is not what we're looking at. These very fine lines back and forth. Well, that's what your block is supposed to look like inside there, besides obviously not looking old and crappy-fied. Alright, so that's all on the block. Let's go over here to all the other stuff. And got your crankshaft, and you may remember your front counterweight and pulley being so rusty. Well, got them cleaned up. Crankshaft, well, congratulations on getting a car that appears to be all original in terms of not having been taken apart, and it's a low mileage vehicle on top of that. So crankshaft is standard, and we check that with a micrometer, and we go down here and we get our size right here, and get it to where it just squeaks. Check our size, and the size is 2.045 and a half. And here's the specifications for the cranks. 2.0457. So your crankshaft, it goes from 2.044 to 457. So your crank is standard on the rods, and it's also standard on the mains, which is very exciting. You've got a very nice low mileage ride right here. All right, get that set right there. And we're at we got 2 inches here, and we're up to 2.7, and then we start reading around the barrel, and there's 45. Let's see again. See, this is 50 right here. That represents 50. And there's 1, 2. Excuse me, I'm off camera here. There's 50, and there's up to the 5 would be 55, and that's 54. And for the crankshaft, 2 inches, 754. So a crankshaft is standard, which is pretty damn impressive. Now then, over here, got the piston. Well, the rods, just clean them up, and we will determine if we need new bushings in here. I cleaned one bushing up. Where is it here? Got one bushing cleaned up inside there a little bit compared to the others. You can see the others are really black, and going to see the difference right there. So we'll see if and I polished one wrist pin, and it looks like they're pretty It's not too bad a fit right there. I mean, they've got some wear on it, but it's not too bad. It's just a little bit sloppier than I like. Excuse me for getting off camera all the time. I really should probably should have bushings in there. And these are off a sedan, and they are not pressurized from the mains. Pressure oil fed. These are splash oil with the little holes up here. Anyway, the pistons are also standard. Measured them. Big problem with them is the engine sat for a long time, as you know, and the rings are seriously stuck in the pistons. And this is how they're coming out in chunks. And you can see how rusted they are. You can see how rusted. I got one actual ring off by itself. The rest of them are frozen. Have to be chipped out. Anyway, so this is the remains of the rust behind there, and trying to get these things out, and whether or not they come out cleanly, and how the ring grooves are will determine if we can use the pistons again, and also this size here compared to the size that is going to end up in the bore of the block once it gets honed. Now then, onto the head, and the head is in amazing condition considering. Let's get here a little bit closer. Alright, I measured the head. The original thickness is 3 inches 346. That's what it's supposed to be. Your head is actually thicker than that. You can see 352 here, 3 inches 350. So when they machined it, they didn't machine it as thin as they could have. They left actually extra material on there for you, which is just great. So you have a standard cylinder head here, and then we put this up there to check for warpage and use our feeler gauge underneath here. This is an official straight edge. It is an official measuring tool, and here's our 4,000ths. 4 goes. There's 5,000ths. 5 just won't go. So you only got 4,000 warpage. Less than 5 is what I wrote there, which is amazing. So that's good. You do have corrosion around cooling passages here and here. We'll see how they clean up once the head gets cleaned, and see how much damage is actually done. What I'm thinking is we probably could fill them in with some JB Weld, and you'd be okay to go. Valves. Got a bunch of valves here to check, and here's the before and after with the valves. They're pretty rusty, and I tried belt sanding them here to see if I could smooth them up. The problem with having valves like this is that you get a carbon buildup on here, and it can cause the engine to run on because carbon will stick to the rusted portions here. But I think the valves can be reused again if you so desire. There's very little wear in the stems, and we check that by getting a micrometer, and you measure up here at the top where there is no wear. That's above the travel. So that's a standard. That's the original thickness diameter there. And you come back down here and you measure down here, and there's almost no measurable wear. So I think we can probably reuse the valves. Trying to think, but you will need a valve job definitely, because these are all rusted and pitted, and the valves have got to be refaced. You can see the pitting on them around here. This is so. Trying to think if there's anything else needs to be dealt with at this time. I don't think so. So anyway, that's the evaluation so far. I think you're doing pretty well. Thank you.